Yes, Greg Williams. I'm the principal of Honesty Construction Group. We started around 2008, and we are a general contracting firm, work on residential as well as commercial projects. I think just being listed as a City of Houston vendor, and someone made a connection for us. And so the first projects that we were working on was for the AAA program, Area Agency on Aging, where they help seniors stay in their home, doing health and safety upgrades. And so that summer, we had one of our largest years with them. We did a lot of ramps, a lot of grab bars, a lot of handheld shower heads, things that basically would help folks stay in their home and remain safe. And so from 2014 until now, we've got that contract renewed, and it's renewed again for this coming year also. People need somewhere to stay, and those that can should, I feel like, help those that maybe cannot or just need some help. And it's just a passion that I have, and it's fulfilling to be able to help those. Being a black male and walking in a lot of these homes, sometimes there's kids there, grandkids there. I grew up seeing my grandfather with a tube belt on, or my dad going to work, and a lot of these children are that younger generation just don't see that. So to be able to show them how to unclog this garbage disposal next time, so they don't have to call it plumber. Show them that we are more than what we're perpetuated on the TV screen or the internet is another thing that's just a passover or a overflow of me being able to help folks in their homes. It's also showing us in a brighter, more positive light. So I won't say I found it necessarily difficult when starting my career. I went to school for this, University of Houston, a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management, Civil Technology. But I didn't really learn this until I got out. And it was after Hurricane Ike, I want to say, that we decided to go ahead and branch out and not leave corporate America and just do this. And we found our way. I had some really good mentors along the way. And I was happy that I was taught the right way to do business and to be positive. And it's not always about the bottom line. The most difficult thing would have been connecting with those like-minded individuals that want to serve and want to help and not take advantage of us as a younger company. And then in that, I was able to meet several folks and a lot of other minority businesses here. And now we've got a whole big network of folks that are of that same passion that work with us and we work with, that we can continue with these goals that we have. I would say start off with coming to Mr. Thibodeau's procurement breakfast. You're gonna see everyone that you should have ever met in regard to the construction space, in regard to commercial and industrial and residential. And these are gonna be some prime contractors that might not look like us. There's gonna be some prime that look like us. And it's kind of like, if you tell me to duck, I'll do it. And then I might turn around and see what I was missing. But it keeps you grounded because you can see how you could progress. It'll also let you know some of the pitfalls so that you don't fall into some of the same mistakes that maybe a younger entrepreneur or a younger construction individual might fall into. So just to get yourself attached to some good mentorships, there's plenty of folks around that are willing to help. Contact me, we can help you out. That's going to be the best thing to do. Don't go out and just think you have to reinvent the wheel or search online and YouTube for these how to fix a door. Sometimes that works, but there's some little intricacies that they won't know to tell you. These are things that you have to be around and experience. Our mission is service first, right? And I feel like as long as we're serving and helping, everything else will fall into place. We have to be really good at our job, and we have to have that compassion, but ultimately you have to be really good at what you're doing. And so by serving, by helping others, we're not only following our own mission, but a mission that I feel that should be set forth on all of us in a way that we could all not just come together, but all let's look out for each other. And you really work with those that you like. we're not obliged to not like you because of your status or how your home looks or what's in your front yard. We're obliged to like you because you're a human, right? And if those that are older or senior or have some incapacities that are preventing them from doing it themselves, what better reason to go out and help and serve? So what you don't want to do is go in and help and end up causing more damage or causing hurt when your intent was to help them. So first, really understand your craft and understand what you're doing, right? If someone's hungry, though I can cook for myself, I probably wouldn't be the one you call to cook for, 30 or 40 folks that are going to come up and show up or are going to be hungry. But what I could do is build the stage. I could build the table. I could build the arena or the facility that's needed to house them. And so it's not staying in your lane as much as understanding your lane and then being good at that. And then the other thing is, again, tie yourself up to some reputable companies. Get out there and network and shake hands. If you don't know everyone in the room, introduce yourself. Some folks are welcoming, some are not, but those that are generally are going to want to help you. And then do your research. With the internet, you can find out about just about anything about anybody. And so with enough research and enough good lessons or good reviews on some other people or other businesses, that would probably be a good place to start. I think just not recognition, but recognizing when we've done a good job or really helped someone. As we had discussed earlier, we walk into some homes and we have to pull ourselves away and kind of gather our emotions because of the state that they're in. But it feels good to me when they have that same response when we get finished. I haven't been able to use this bathroom in 10 years, or I haven't been able to take a bath by myself, or I have to wait for my daughter or son to come home, and they're kind of giving them back their independence. That really, really feels good. That's really rewarding too. I'm not an expert on the full demographic of how many need homes and how many don't. I can say just from not an assumption, but just from what I've been able to see when I'm going around, there needs to be more access. There needs to be more affordable housing. What I do see is non-affordable housing being put up in old lots and areas where we used to live. And not that progress is not appreciated, but at the same time, I don't really like feeling or seeing the general vibe of us being moved out into less than what we had before. And there's multiple reasons for that. We can get into that later. But I think that the intention or the process of building homes that those that are next to you can't afford, and there's no adequate compensation, and there's also no adequate resources for them to move somewhere that would be just as or nicer than they are, that does need to be addressed. I have been in a home with the AAA program, for instance, and there are 4-floor condos around this one older senior's home. They've been there for ages, and what I was told they were offered for that, it would be shameful for anyone to offer that small amount. So when you have the taxes go up and you have the resources that they used to be able to use and have not there anymore, it's kind of like you're really just pushing them out. And so I'm just glad to be able to help them stay where they are, but safely. And with this vast network of folks that we know now, there's no limit. There's no limit to the amount of help that's available. The adequacy of that help sometimes has a limit. The responsiveness of that help sometimes is not as quick as a lot of folks would like it. But there is so many different programs out there. We've got contracts with 4 of them, multi-year contracts with 4 of them, that go out and help folks stay in their home, replacing roofs, doing foundations. I hear that there's homes on that list that have been there for over a year. Sometimes I go to a house, baby, I turned this in 3 years ago. We didn't think you were ever coming. I'm here now. So let me take care of you and take care of you quickly. And so the help is there. It could be increased. I think administration wise, it could get a boost if budgets were increased also, because folks do have to work and they do have to make a living. But with a lot of these programs, if they had more admin, if they had more folks to go out and look at the homes and inspect the homes, if they had other folks that were there to complete the paperwork, to get it finished, we would be able to turn over more homes a month. But it just gets to a bottleneck at some point. And so though there's a list 2-3 years long, a lot of times it's just not enough time in a day to get through enough of them to get to the works. Well, the heartbreaking stories would be like I was sent out by another agency to go help older individual with installing running water and electricity to her home. She was living in a storage shed that had a roof leak, had a tarp over it. The storage shed was probably about 15 foot by maybe 10 feet, maybe. And so there's barely enough room in that for her bed. There was no room to actually install a bathroom, install any electricity. There's none brought to the land. And so that's one of the hard ones where I had to go back and let the agency know that that shed should probably be condemned. And unless she's willing to go somewhere while we do this work, we wouldn't be able to do it anyway. And that customer had some mental issues that needed to be addressed. And those just hurt because I'm looking at everything that we can do. There are leaner and hangers. It's a forestry term, if you will, where you've got trees that have fallen that are just hanging on another tree, just waiting to be collapsed on her home. That's what I saw. That was my first concern. Yes, she needs a restroom. Yes, she needs electricity. But the wrong wind come through is going to crush this building with her in it. And I think that without a trained eye, not that I have the best trained eye, but I do see those things. And without a trained eye, if we're just going out and trying to check boxes, we're going to end up in some trouble. And so I think on those type of situations, we just have to look outside of what the customer's current immediate need is and look at the overall project, the overall surroundings that they have, and try to get them safe first. And then from that point, we can try to do some upgrade and some things. Sometimes the answer is just no. They need to either move or that needs to be, one of the options. And as we talked about affordable housing, she's not there because she can necessarily afford another home. She's there because she can't. And how do we address that, without funding for it? So the need exceeds the budget. There's an option for what they call in-kind services, where if you're going to do $100 worth of work, that would count towards a credit as in-kind services. I call it just in-kind services because we're already at the budget and something else needs to happen. For instance, we took a floor out to replace some plumbing issues and repair 1 or 2 floor joists. Well, all of them were bad, all of them were damaged. You don't know that really until you go into it. And I know they weren't going to go back and get it repaired. I also know that the time it would take to get a change order or something approved would exceed these persons, I guess, or exceed their timeline that they needed to use that restroom in that area. So when we run into those, we just fix it while we're there. And sometimes it's more expensive than others. It's easier when it's not, of course. But I sleep well at night knowing that we've done the right thing, not just for the sake of doing it, but for the sake of the homeowner, right? And not just things that aren't important, but real life safety issues that just need to be done. I mean, I couldn't turn it away. And I thank the Lord we're blessed to be able to help others while we're in the middle of that, because a lot of times we can't. Sometimes we just can't. We replaced an entire roof for a homeowner. They had a hole in it about, let's say it was a 4 by 5 foot hole. I'm kind of remembering where it sat on the rafters. And time it was taking to get that approved. But this whole time, water is still going into the house. We went to the house 3 or 4 different times this is before we got a PO for it, to replace and reattach the tarp for them that was already there before we got there. And part of our estimate was to not just do the roof, but to replace the insulation. Just in that area, you replace the damaged drywall inside the home, and the agency was not able to do it. I don't know why exactly, maybe budget reasons, maybe scope reasons, but that still needs to be done. So now they're dried in, they still have mold in the home, they still have other things inside that need to be repaired to really make them safe. And it's just a matter of it being enough to do. We went to a home last week, and the gentleman had his house wired up with speaker wire. They had a regular, electrical installation years ago, and as time goes by, it got bad and worse and worse. And so he's running speaker wire from his panel. He made some makeshift breakers with screws and is running all of his home with speaker wire. When we took the fuse box out, we found other things. Well, it had already been approved for a PO. There was no change orders on it. So what do? We do everything we can to still make him safe. And now, he and his son say they didn't think it would ever work again. There's outlets that haven't worked in 10 years. There's, the dryer and the stove is working now. So how can you put a value on that? It just needed to be done. I'm thankful that me, my partners, my subcontractors, as well as my employees have that same heart and mind and are able to see beyond the immediate scope of work and look into what the needs are, just to make sure when we walk away, they're still going to be safe. If you see a need and you can help someone, please do that. We kind of walk down with our heads in our phones a lot and not looking up and seeing how we could be a blessing to someone else. And I'm thankful that I don't have the general deficiencies that I see in a lot of these homes that we go into. And the other thing would be, if you do need help, don't be too proud to ask for it. You had mentioned, before that there was a gentleman that did not want any help. He wanted to do it himself, and that's commendable. That's that generation. But we have to help them. We have to help them where they physically can't do some things. And so if you're a sibling or a cousin or a grandchild, whatever it may be, talk them into receiving some of this help that we have out here, and make sure it's from one of these agencies that we're referring that are regulated, and make sure that we're not signing their home over to someone after they've done the repairs. That's something that's important to watch too.